inspired to respond, to a posting that Richard Branson posted today, and I thought, I mean, he's brilliant. There's no question. He's got so much insight and wonderful things we can all learn. But I wanted to respond to it, and not necessarily respond, because what doesn't he respond? But it inspired me to get on here and say this. So he says, it's better to say nothing than spend 1,000 words or an hour speech saying nothing. Get to the point fast. Yeah, you know, sure. And then mastering how and when to communicate effectively is one of the most important skills one can learn. These are great, and perhaps his assistant or somebody else has put it on there for him and it's taken out of context. But I wanted to say that as a communication coach and someone who works with people to heal a lot of the deep inner trauma that stops people from communicating their truth, and that's usually what happens when people say nothing, is because they're just talking heads and they're repeating something that is not their inner truth. What I find that, and I really believe this, is that when we speak from our heart and we speak from our authentic voice, what we say is vital. And to say nothing is the greatest mistake we could ever make. This has to do with whether we're in a situation where we're experiencing trauma and we don't speak up for ourselves. So we've been told that we shouldn't speak, or our voice is not important, or what we say is not important, or what we feel or need is not important. And so our voices get shut off. And this is really fundamental to what I do on a daily basis working with my clients, because we must speak, and we must not get the idea that what we have to say is nothing, or that we should just say nothing if it's not important. Now, this doesn't have to do with criticizing or putting down others. We've got enough of that, and that's a whole other subject. But as far as how we communicate and making something impactful and meaningful, maybe he was talking about marketing, because the truth is we are bombarded with messages every single day, and the more money you have, meaning the marketing people, the advertising, the more money they put towards it. I mean, money is just going to make that message louder. It doesn't mean it's better, you know, or it's going to make it, when I say louder, I mean more. We're going to see it more, we're going to hear it more. It does not make it necessarily better, right? So this is kind of an important thing to look at, rather than just taking this, oh, well, he said it, therefore it's true, or therefore it's important, I should own that. No, I think that we need to step back, and I really believe that each one of us needs to step into that place of owning our own truth. And when we can do that, we can then speak it, especially with what we've got now going on with technology. I mean, anybody can sit anywhere and speak anything. And I don't know that it's necessarily, is it because we're needing to be heard? And probably that's the case. But one thing that we can control, and that is our ability to hear what we want, what we choose. And I don't think that we're consciously choosing what we hear anymore, especially now that we're all becoming media hubs and walking around being constantly texted, or getting messages in our inbox, or getting messages through pop-ups, or whatever it is, or anywhere around us. We're constantly getting communication, getting messages sent to us. And what we have to do now is to step into that place and take responsibility for what we hear, not just audio, but what we hear in our energy field, and what we hear in our bodies, what we hear in our minds and our hearts as a result of these messages. We have to really put on some more filters and filter out the nonsense. Not so much that, so I believe that it's not so much that we have to stop or silence our voices. We need to speak up more for our truth and differentiate and separate out from what so much other stuff is coming in, and stop being robots, or stop being copycats, and be our authentic selves. Find what's true for us. What is our truth? What is our gift? And share it and speak it. And on top of that, I replied to it. Zig Ziglar said, paraphrasing here, he said, if you are doing something poorly, you have to do something poorly long enough to get to be a master at it. You're not going to be a master at it unless you do it, right? So you cannot be silent. You cannot say nothing if you want to be a master at speaking. You have to get out there and speak. You have to stop hiding out. You have to stop taking all these classes and learning and subscribing to everybody else to learn what you should be doing. You need to be doing it, right? And that's really my message. That's what I wanted to say, because I believe that your clear message comes from your confident, authentic voice. And then certainly you can craft and create this strategic communication that impacts the world or impacts your community or impacts your audience. And that's awesome. I mean, that's what I do as a communication coach. But the big mistake I want to make sure we don't get stuck with is that to say nothing. And that goes across a lot of areas, especially because of the trauma and abuse work that I do, because of healing a lot of the past wounds. To say nothing is a mistake. Now, knowing that, what do you want to say from your authentic voice, and can we communicate that? And I'll just throw out a couple of other things here. Nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg, compassionate communication, essentially. To know what you need and to be so in touch with your truth and to be able to communicate internally, your own internal communication is clear. And when that's clear, it's much easier to communicate that to the world. Okay, that's my message. That's what I wanted to say today. But love Richard Branson. This is not a kick on him in any way. And peace and blessings.